All right, guys. Good evening. We are live.
Hi guys, happy
Hi.
Friday evening.
Yes, happy Friday evening. It's actually quite strange to think about the days of the week now because they all seem the same. Not a big difference. Monday, Friday, Sunday. I'm home.
Exactly, exactly. Every day is the same. Uh,
Uh, Good. Well, we hope you guys are doing okay, that you had a good week, you're safe, of course. So we know also that we have some students this week joining us from not only Italy, but Spain and France. So if you don't know us, we are teachers from one of the Milan schools, Milan Meravigli. My name is Thiago, as you can see under my name. I am originally from Brazil, but I've spent many years in California growing up. And I have been a teacher at my English school since 2016. And I'll let Danielle introduce
mhm.
herself.
Yep, so hi guys, I'm Danielle and I'm Australian and I've been a teacher at MIS for about 18 months, so since 2016. Yeah, that's they're the most important things I think. So
Great, guys.
guys, when you're watching, send us a message to tell us who you are and where you're from. All right, we want to hear from you. This is a class for you. It's not about us. All right.
Exactly. Yes, and do participate if you have questions, comments, anything, guys. The best lessons are when you participate, when you make mistakes, so that we can really help you. All right. So today, this is, I think, the perfect time. It's almost at least Italian dinner time. We are talking about food. In these last few weeks, I have been eating a lot of food. I have been cooking a lot. What about you, Danielle?
Yes, I have definitely been eating more food than usual. And yes, cooking nice food. So on a Saturday night, you can't go out. So
Yeah,
instead, you make a nice dinner and
yeah,
have some wine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that my food, though, I think I'm eating more, but it's also healthier.
Ah, okay, that's good.
Because
Hmm.
I don't know, usually maybe because of work, if I, depending on the time I get there, it's easy to just grab a little pizza or. But I've been making a lot of vegetables and things, so it's been quite nice.
Excellent. Well
So
done.
one piece of vocabulary here, guys, is healthy food.
Yeah.
That's an adjective. Food that is good for your body. Healthy,
Yeah.
healthy food.
So, what are some examples of healthy food?
Yeah, so classic examples, of course, is vegetables. It's the first thing that comes to mind. But in general, healthy food is a good balance of food.
Yeah.
So also not only vegetables, it's important to have different types of food.
Hmm.
All right. So today we are looking at some different things. First, some adverbs to talk about frequency. So maybe how many times in a week or a month you do something. Food in general, vocabulary for food, and habits. Okay, do pay attention to the H here because in English, most of the times we have to kind of make a so habit, hello, all right, healthy,
Hungry.
hungry,
Yeah.
yes. I'm definitely a little hungry and I will be more hungry after this focus for sure. So I see that we have three people at the moment
Hi
watching
guys.
us. So hello, guys. Do tell us your name and your city if you have an account. Of course, I know that if you don't have an account, you cannot comment. Uh, Also, tell us if you know any adverbs of frequency.
Mm,
Can you maybe
okay.
give one example, Danielle, of an
Yeah.
adverb of frequency?
So the best example is always. Okay.
Mhm.
Always. So always means every time. Okay. So every time. So, for example, I always have a shower in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Every time, every day, always.
Great. And
Right.
I always drink coffee in the morning, also every day.
I'm sure lots of you watching always drink coffee in the morning as well. Yeah.
Yes. And
hmm
hopefully you are always watching our webinars
yeah.
now that we are far away physically. So, all
Okay.
right. So, as you think about it, maybe we can show, because I know maybe some of you cannot write.
hmm
So, here we go. We have always, as Danielle told us. We have some others that
Mm,
maybe, Danielle, do you want to read them so we can first
sure.
focus on pronunciation?
Okay. So we have never, sometimes, usually, often, always, hardly ever.
Exactly. So if you could put them in order for us. So always, as Danielle said, every time. So always is you have the biggest frequency.
hmm
Okay, so how does that work as it gets smaller?
Yeah. What comes? So maybe, so for example, I always have a shower in the evening. I um, mm, mm, mm. Okay, I drink tea. Okay, I drink coffee, but I also drink tea. I don't always drink tea, but maybe 5 days a week. All right. I drink tea Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I
Yeah.
don't always drink tea. But what else can I say? It's not quite all the time. It's something less, something a little bit less.
Yes, it's also the word that we find when we ask the question about frequency. We use this
Mm.
word. All right.
Let me
Well,
refresh.
as you guys are maybe writing, just
Yeah.
so we can move on. So let's have a look. So always, as Danielle said, so she always showers in the evening. And then exactly, we have the second one here. Thanks, Danielle. Often. That comes, oh,
Oh,
all right. I
okay.
guess
Yeah,
there's
okay.
some room from
Usually,
interpretation.
yeah.
Yeah, usually, often. Yeah, usually or often. I don't see a huge difference
No.
really between usually or often. Um, yeah, so
Yeah,
they're
okay.
quite similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
usually, so see, Danielle, she says that she always showers. And see how I'm putting the S because it's third person. She always showers in the evening. Me, I usually shower in the morning, but sometimes I also shower in the evening.
Hmm.
See, sometimes, maybe once or twice a week, I shower in the evening. We also have hardly ever. Perfect.
Okay, yeah. And then what's the opposite of always? Right.
Exactly. And then the opposite of always would be never. I don't know about you, Danielle, but personally, I almost never say hardly ever. I tend to say almost never.
No, that's interesting. I say hardly ever.
You do say hardly ever more. Okay.
Hardly ever. Yeah. So you've got two options, guys. Hardly ever. Almost
Because I
never.
know at least for the Italians and the Spanish maybe in the room, this would be quite similar to Italian and Spanish, like almost never.
Yeah.
So if maybe hardly ever is a little difficult to remember, you can always say almost never, no problem. So we have both ways.
Guys, these words, they're good words to remember, okay? We use these a lot.
Yeah.
And they're useful words for every level of English.
Yeah, because they give you a lot more information. You don't only communicate the action, but also the frequency that you do that action. And the position of these words, for example, would be in the middle between the subject and the verb. Okay, for frequency. So I usually shower in the evening. I always drink coffee. So we put that in the middle.
Yeah.
All right. If you have some examples and you can write, let us know. We will keep practicing them. All right. Now here we have some food and also drinks, so things you can maybe find in a supermarket. So here, I can maybe read the first half and Danielle can finish. So let's just really focus on pronunciation at home. Try to pronounce it with us to practice this. So we have eggs, tomatoes. So there's some, do you say tomato or tomato?
Tomato.
You say tomato, yeah. So there's a bit of a difference here.
Yeah.
So tomato or tomato. Onions. Cheese. So here, cheese. Here we have juice. So no I. Okay, so not juice, juice. We also have potatoes and coffee. Okay.
And then we have apples and tea. Right. So again, the pronunciation, it's tea. Right. It's just one sound. Chocolate, very important. Bread, beans, and pasta.
Great.
Okay.
And of course, we have the four categories where we can put these words. We have drink, like one that is not here, for example, is, I can show you, water. I drink water. That's an example of a drink.
Yeah, you drink.
Exactly. We have another silent I here. See, we said juice before, but we also say fruit. Yeah, great. Then vegetables, another interesting pronunciation because we eat a lot of letters in English and sounds. So vegetables, and some other categories.
Okay. So these are all important types of food. Okay, they're some good basic food examples of food to remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe we can alternate giving you. So if you're watching at home, and especially if you're watching this not live, but maybe as a recorded video, and you're answering. So just answer it. by yourself at home, and we will give you the categories. So the first, we have eggs. Now, eggs, I would say, is other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a drink, not a fruit, not a vegetable. So other. Okay.
When do you eat eggs?
So I actually never eat eggs. I never eat eggs. I am a vegan, so I don't eat
Okay.
eggs or cheese, for example. But before,
Mm-hmm.
especially in America, I sometimes had eggs in the morning for
Yeah,
breakfast.
the breakfast
Quite
food.
common for us, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I make a tofu scramble, which are similar to eggs.
Okay. Because I saw your example of your brunch with
Yes,
eggs, but it
exactly. That
wasn't.
was it.
Yeah.
It was a
Okay.
tofu scramble. Exactly. Great. Do you want to do the second one?
Sure. So this next one, tomatoes. This is a strange one. So because inside it has seeds, right? The little round things you find inside most fruits. So tomato
Yes.
should be a fruit.
Technically, yes, it should be a fruit. I think the slide tells us it's.
Ah,
Oh, no, it
sorry.
does.
Oh,
Oh,
it
great. No,
does.
no, no.
Good.
You're
Okay.
right. I think there is another activity that puts it under vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Uh,
know, the first time I had a tomato in Sicily,
uh-huh.
it also really tasted like a fruit because it was
Yeah.
so sweet,
Sweet.
so flavorful
Yeah.
that yeah, it really like felt like eating a fruit.
Yeah.
So great, fantastic. Then we have onion. Now, onion is something that when you cut, usually you cry. It's very strong,
Mm.
gives a lot of good flavor to your food, a lot of good taste.
Mm.
And onion is a vegetable.
Yeah. So maybe some people don't like onion. It can have a very strong taste.
Yes,
Okay. I like it. And Tiago, I think
I
maybe
quite
you like
like it.
it. Yep.
Yes.
But some people don't like it.
Yes, my
Okay.
father, for example, he never eats onion.
Mhm.
He only eats onion sometimes if it is almost invisible. So you have to make it very, very, very small because he doesn't like the consistency of the onion.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. Great. The next one.
Next one is we have cheese, right? Very important food in Italy and in France.
Mhm.
All right, lots of different types of cheese. So cheese is other,
Other.
okay,
Great.
type
What
of
is your
dairy.
favorite type of cheese, Danielle? Do you
Oh,
have one?
no, I'm not too sure. I like hard cheese.
Hard cheese,
I
yeah.
don't like soft cheese. I like it hard cheese. Maybe I like pecorino
Mm-hmm.
and I like brigante, which is a type of Sardinian cheese.
Briga, never heard of it.
Yeah, it's not that.
Brigante. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
It's also is it similar to like the Parmigiano, the Grana?
It's a very strong taste. So I like sort of very strong cheeses, not mild cheeses.
Great, cool. Yeah, no, I also don't eat cheese now, but when I did, I also preferred hard cheeses.
Yeah.
I of course I liked like mozzarella on pizza, but by itself, not a big
No.
fan. Cool. All right, so then we have again the pronunciation juice. Now, juice is when you take a fruit and you make it a liquid, so you can
Yeah.
drink. So you can drink. So it is a drink.
Right.
Orange juice, apple juice.
Yep. The next one, maybe you guys know because it's quite similar in lots of languages. We've got potatoes and it's a vegetable.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And another very popular drink, of course, is coffee.
Okay, apples. It's a very important and basic example of fruit.
Exactly. We have one right up here,
I
green
have one here
apple.
as well. Let's see.
Ah,
I've got
great.
lots of fruit here I can show you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many varieties of apples as well. Cool. We have tea, which is another drink.
Mhm.
So very big, especially in the UK. It's very
Yes.
cultural to have tea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then chocolate. Again, I think you all know. Other. It's a different type of food.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Also, I would say bread is also other. So bread, here we have an example on the screen. This is like a baguette, is a type of bread.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we have beans. Right, so there's lots of different types of beans. You can have green beans. You can have what type of beans? You can have um, like kidney beans. You can have
Mhm.
small beans in a can. Yeah. So beans are a type of vegetable.
Exactly. And then lastly, of course, you will all know this. This is very international. Pasta, of course, is other.
Yeah.
All right, great. So we're going to move on and we're going to practice now some of the new vocabulary. Uh, so here's a conversation. So I will be blue, Danielle will be
Mhm.
red, so you can follow our conversation. So, Danielle, what do you usually eat for breakfast?
For breakfast, I usually eat fruit and yogurt.
Great. And what do you usually drink for breakfast?
For breakfast, I usually drink tea. Sometimes I drink juice. I never drink coffee.
Oh, great.
Okay, so you've got
I
those
can't
differences.
imagine not having coffee in the morning. After this, so last summer, I decided to stop with coffee for 1 month. I just wanted to eliminate many things that I was eating or drinking in excess. So I
Mhm.
decided to stop, and it was very difficult to drink again because then my body rejected,
Yes,
didn't want the coffee, but it was really difficult. Around 6 o'clock in the evening, seven, I was very sleepy. It was difficult to work. It was really bad.
I did the same so I was pregnant. Okay, I had a baby, and when I was pregnant, I had I hardly ever drank coffee. I had one coffee every 2 weeks. And it was very hard because, yes, I was tired. And in the mornings, I found it hard in the mornings because I needed a boost and I didn't
Hmm.
have coffee.
Was
Yeah.
it difficult for you when you reintroduced the
Yes.
coffee?
Yes. Because I would have one and
Uh-huh.
I'd be like this.
Yeah, same. Also feeling like very anxious almost. Like I
Okay.
feel like a feeling in my stomach like this. But then also magically it was gone, you know. I thought I had to stop completely, but then it was fine. I also know, of course, coffee in Italy tend to be quite strong, very concentrated with the espresso, especially. So I started with more of an Americano, something lighter. Good.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Very good.
wonderful.
Are there any other breakfast foods? What do you eat for breakfast, Tiago?
Now I usually okay, so I always, of course, drink coffee in the morning, and I usually drink a big glass of water first. I hear it's good, can be good for your metabolism to start with water. And then I sometimes eat yogurt with the chia seeds. I quite like that. Or fruit, different types of fruit, banana or an apple.
Okay, great. So in the mornings, I always eat cereal. Right. So like this picture here,
Mm-hmm.
I always eat cereal. And I always have a coffee. Okay.
Great. Do you have a favorite type of cereal?
Something very boring. I eat bran flakes because it's healthy.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah. I quite like like granola as well.
Yeah, I like granola, but
Yeah.
it's a bit too sweet to
It
have
is
every
sweet. It is
day.
quite
So
sweet.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Cool. All right.
great.
If you guys can, let us know what you eat for breakfast. And if you can, with always, usually, often. What is something, Danielle, that you never eat or drink in the morning?
Okay. In the morning, I never have a like a croissant or a brioche. A
Hmm.
brioche, okay?
It's very common in Italy, so you
Yeah.
never eat.
I never eat I'll say a croissant. Okay. For me, it's not I don't like that for breakfast.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Yeah,
lot
so
of
never.
sugar in the
Yeah,
morning.
I think so.
Very sweet. Yes, so sweet is an adjective when too sugary. Um, Sweet. Okay, so croissant, granola, jam,
Hmm.
marmalade, as we see here, of course, sugar. They're all sweet.
Yeah.
Juice. Okay, all right. So this is it for breakfast. So breakfast is in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we have lunch. And
Yeah.
here we can see in the question, guys, that we use the verb to eat, right? So you can say to eat lunch, but it's also possible to have,
Yeah.
okay? So eat lunch, eat breakfast, have breakfast. Just be careful with take. Because sometimes I hear take breakfast or take lunch. We don't usually use that. All right. So Danielle, what foods do you eat for lunch usually?
Okay, so I often have salad. Mhm. Salad with lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber,
Ooh, nice
onion,
cucumber.
and tuna.
Great.
Okay, I often have
Yes.
salad. I sometimes have soup. Yeah, so a soup, which is the liquid.
And do you always eat lunch at home or in a restaurant or outside?
I usually eat lunch at home, but I sometimes eat lunch in a restaurant.
Great,
Okay,
great,
with some
fantastic,
friends. Yeah. Okay.
wonderful.
All right, Tiago, what
All
about
right.
you? What do you eat?
So I also usually eat lunch at home. I eat lunch before I go to work at the school. It depends. I often eat sandwiches. I also quite like soup, so I sometimes eat soup for lunch. But I only eat soup if I have time to make it the
Mm,
day before, because I usually wake up a little late, and so I don't have time to
okay.
prepare the soup because it takes some time to get
Yeah.
everything ready. So yeah. And if I have lunch at school, then I often eat like a small like pizza to go, like a marinara pizza, or there is a little restaurant in one of the train stations near work where they make different types of food, different salads. Yeah, they have different options every day, so you can just choose a dish with different things. So it depends, really. I sometimes eat lunch at the station,
Mhm.
at this little restaurant. Um, okay, great. We also have questions about maybe the time. So, for instance, I
Yeah.
could ask Danielle, what time do you usually eat lunch?
Mm. So, and this is true for me, I usually eat lunch at 1. Oh, look at this time, guys. So we can say 1 p.m. or we can say 1 o'clock. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can say
Yeah.
both of those.
Yeah, just be careful that if you say o'clock, it's only if it's 00. Okay, so if, for example, if it is, if you see this, we can say 1:30. We can say even 1:30 p.m., but not 1:30 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, o'clock is 00. So really
So
nice.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Right?
Exactly.
About 4:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
1:30.
great. Then the second one we already talked about the things that we eat. But then there's a third question that is quite nice as well.
Yeah.
Who do you eat lunch with? So do pay attention to the pronunciation here, guys. Who?
Yeah.
Who do you eat lunch with? And this is for people.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Okay. So it's a person. Okay, Tiago, who do you eat lunch with?
Now, I often eat lunch with my flatmate.
Mm-hmm.
So my flatmate is the person who lives in my house with me. So flat is another word for apartment. So my flatmate. Uh, Sometimes I eat lunch by myself. It depends on the day. So by myself, alone, no other person. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. And what about you, Danielle? So you usually eat lunch at 1 o'clock, and
Mm-hmm.
who do you eat lunch with?
So in the past, so before, I usually ate lunch alone because I don't know, I did. But now, because I have a baby, I always eat lunch with my baby.
Great.
Yeah. So, but in the past, I usually ate lunch alone because I would go to Italian class in the morning and in the afternoon, I worked. So in the middle, I was alone. So
Yeah,
I ate lunch alone. Mm-hmm.
great. Yeah, I quite like actually also having a lunch break and relaxing. I think I don't know how you feel, but when you're a teacher, you spend a lot of time talking to people, and so sometimes in your lunch break, it's also nice to have some time alone, just quiet, enjoying your food. Of course, it's great with people too, but I prefer dinner with other people
Mm-hmm.
and lunch by myself. Or if I eat lunch at school, it's nice with the colleagues in the staff room as well and eat
Yeah.
together. Cool. All right. And then the third meal of the day is dinner.
Yeah.
So dinner we eat in the evening.
Yeah.
So, all right, we have basically the same questions here. So, What time do you usually eat dinner, Danielle? I know, I imagine in Australia it's maybe more similar to the US and the UK, so an earlier dinner.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
eat at Italian time or?
Yes, I have always eaten at Italian time. I always eat dinner late, now and in the past.
So also
So
in Australia.
yeah,
Ah,
but
cool.
most people in Australia eat dinner early. So
What
at
time, more or less?
it changes. Every person is different, but often sort of 7 p.m.
7. Okay, good. I feel like sometimes in the States it's even earlier. Some
Yeah.
people eat dinner at 5, 5:30. But then of course you are hungry again
Hungry, yes.
at 10,
Yeah.
so I agree with you. Now, with my parents, we always had dinner a little late as well because, they
Mhm.
are from Brazil. So in Brazil, it's common to have dinner late. So even in the States, at home, we always had dinner late. It's quite strange for me. So I
Yes.
almost never had dinner at
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Yeah. No, me either. Um, okay. And now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I usually have dinner at 8 p.m. or at 8 o'clock. How
Great.
about you?
Uh, Actually, so because I usually work in the evening, and so I work from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. So yeah, I often have dinner at 10 or 10:30, which I think is too late, honestly. Because I like to give my body some time to digest the food before I go to sleep. And so, as a result, sometimes I go to sleep quite late because I don't like going to bed with a full stomach. It just feels, ugh, I can't quite relax. So, yeah. But if I can, if I don't work, I then usually have dinner at like 8:30, maybe
Mhm.
9 o'clock. Um, so what? Of course, this changes, I imagine, from day to day. But what do you usually eat for dinner, Danielle?
Yeah, so I usually eat sort of a type of brodo, right? So a type of soup with lots of vegetables,
Hmm.
and or maybe fish and vegetables, or fish and salad if it's the summertime.
Great. Yeah, it's quite nice
Um,
in the summer, like fresh, right?
mhm.
Fresh food, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. How about you?
It really depends because I quite like having different types of food.
Hmm.
So sometimes I have like Italian food. Sometimes I make pasta with a different type of sauce.
Hmm.
Sometimes I make maybe like some Asian food, so a Chinese dish or a Thai dish. Sometimes I want to eat Mexican food. And so I'm quite eclectic with
Yeah.
what I like to eat. And so it really depends. In fact, I want to prepare my meals before,
Hmm.
but I am very moody with what I want to eat. So it's quite difficult. In fact, with the quarantine at the moment, it has been a little difficult to go shopping and buying what I need for a week or a week and a half.
Yes.
Because before I usually went to the supermarket once every 2 days.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same.
Same for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for example, we went to the supermarket on Tuesday evening, and now we need to go again.
Yeah.
I need to go tomorrow because we've eaten everything.
Exactly. Yeah, and another problem for me is that if I buy a lot of things at the supermarket, when I make a recipe, I say, "Oh, good, I have this, 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 this. I want everything in the dish," you know? So, for example, if I'm making some vegetables and I have broccoli and Brussels sprouts and bell peppers, you know, instead of using maybe two of them, I use five. I just want to put everything because I have
Yeah.
it. So then I still, you know, I'm learning. These last 2 weeks, I'm trying to cook bigger quantities, and so I can eat maybe the same thing, maybe lunch and dinner,
Yeah.
or the same dinner, you know, 2 days in a row. But yeah.
Guys, this is a good word. So we say recipe. The sound is different to how the spelling. All right. But a recipe is the instructions for how you make something, how you make a type of food, okay? A dish. So you might have a recipe for chocolate cake or a recipe for a type of pasta, okay? A
Mhm.
pasta dish, yeah?
Great. And who do you eat dinner with?
At the moment, I always eat dinner with my husband.
Hmm.
But in the past, I usually ate dinner with my husband, but maybe someone was away or someone was out. But at the moment,
Now it's always.
because we're at home together, we always eat dinner together.
Great, great.
How about
Yeah,
you?
same for me. Now, also in the past, I usually ate dinner with my flatmate as well at home. But now we always eat dinner together because we're always at home.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it has actually been quite nice to always spend time together. So yeah,
Very nice.
wonderful. All right. I guess we kind of talked about this
Yeah,
one.
I
I'm
think
gonna
so.
maybe skip ahead just to practice just a little bit the third person, guys. So, as you know, in English, we don't have to worry too much about conjugating the verbs. They are usually the same for everyone, but there are three exceptions, and that's if I'm using he, she, or it. In case of like an animal or an object, we use it. In that case, we usually just have to put an S in the end. So I eat, you eat, he eats.
Okay.
All right. This, if I'm asking the question, is a little bit different because in the question, I don't put the S with the verb here, but instead I change the auxiliary. So you know how before, look, before I was asking Danielle, what do you eat? So I just have do. But if I'm doing this in the third person, I change the do to does. So what does he usually eat? What does she usually drink? Okay, in case of an animal, you could say, where does it usually sleep, for instance? Okay, so you just have to remember the S. That's the biggest thing. So affirmative after the verb, the question or negative in the auxiliary. So do, or
Mm-hmm.
so does, doesn't. All right. So, for instance, we can look at this example. So, I might ask Danielle, so what does he usually eat?
So he usually eats hamburgers.
Yes.
Okay.
And what does he usually drink?
He usually drinks soda.
Yes, good. Soda. Nice word. Soda, or I guess you could say also soft drinks.
Yeah.
Soft drink.
Or you can say fizzy drink. You can
Yeah,
say fizzy drink.
there was a pop. No, in
Yeah.
some areas.
Yeah.
Yes. Some people also mention a popular brand that now I am terrified of saying because of our other video. No brands.
Maybe. um,
uh,
okay. All right. So what about her, Tiago? We've got.
mhm.
Let's look at B. So the
Yes.
woman in this picture. What does she usually eat for
Now,
lunch?
based on the picture, I think that she usually eats a salad for lunch. And maybe she usually drinks water as well.
Mm-hmm.
She looks quite healthy.
Yeah. Okay.
All
And
right.
then for picture C, I don't know.
Yeah. So here we have a whole family, right? We have
Yeah.
5 different people. So in this case, actually, I wouldn't use the third person S because it's they. So of course, I can ask about a specific person. I can say maybe here we have the father on the sofa. I can say, what does he usually eat? Or I can talk about the family in
Mm.
general. So they, what do they usually drink, eat, etc. So, for example, Danielle, so for this family, what time do they usually have dinner?
Okay. So they usually eat dinner at 6 p.m. Okay. Maybe they eat early because they have children. Yeah,
Yes,
they
I
have
think they
babies.
hardly ever eat dinner after 9 p.m. because they want to put the kids to sleep.
Okay. Okay, guys. So yeah, so with the verbs, so I eat, you eat, he eats, right? We eat, they eat.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
he, she, it is different.
Yeah, that's really
Okay.
one of the beauties of English is that you don't have to worry about this. I know for Romance languages, you have to spend a lot of time memorizing,
Yes.
remembering, and there are many exceptions. So I know English has a lot of exceptions in different ways, but with the verbs, at least, it's quite simple. Just remember the S.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the sometimes the most difficult part is the question. But also here, just leave the verb there. The verb is the same. Change the auxiliary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All
It's
right.
it's one of the most important rules in English. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So we are almost finished, guys. So maybe
Yeah.
before we finish everything, we can do a final review of what we've learned. So we looked at adverbs of frequency before. Maybe Danielle, do you want to go over the order again, starting from
Sure.
always?
So always remember every time. All right. I always shower in the evening. Then we have usually. Okay. I usually drink tea 5 days a week. 5 days a week, I drink tea. Often, all right, a little bit less. Then we have sometimes, all right, less than 50%, around 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly ever, or
Or
almost never.
almost never. That's right.
And
And then
finally, never.
never. Good. Just some food types of food that we saw. I'm just going to put them in the categories here. So for drinks, we talked about, of course, we mentioned water as well, juice with the silent I, coffee and tea. We have fruit with also silent I, tomatoes or tomatoes, apples. Got vegetables. We have onions that make you cry, potatoes, and beans. And other, we have eggs, cheese, chocolate, bread, and pasta. All right. And just remember that if you're using an adverb of frequency, it goes in the middle between the subject and the verb. But you can always look at the examples that we put in the comments if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. And thanks to everyone else watching it on replay. Just before we go, there's one thing I should say. So we have a Facebook group, and it's called MyS SOS English. You can ask us a question, send us a question, and one of us teachers will reply to you. Okay, a question about English, and we can help you. Okay.
That's it, guys. So thank you, really. Have a lovely weekend. And remember that if you are awake tomorrow morning, we have some other webinars going until 1 p.m.
We will. I'll be there.
Great.
I'll see you then.
Fantastic, guys. Have a good one.
See you guys. Have a good
Bye.
weekend. Bye.